So we have another wonderful guest with us here in Baku on the Caspian Sea at COP29, the UN Climate Conference. Could you say your name and your title, please?
Thank you for the invitation. I'm Andonirina Fontaine, and I'm the Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development from Madagascar.
Okay. I have to say, Max, you're probably the youngest environment minister I've ever met, which I think is absolutely fantastic. How old are you?
I'm 28 years old, actually.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. That really is.
Thank you.
More than that, though, you are part of a new initiative with 3 other countries. Could you tell us what this initiative is called and what does it seek to achieve?
So it's been almost a year that we have been working with Bhutan, Panama, and Suriname on creating a new coalition to the United Nations, because we are the last countries on Earth that are carbon negative. To join this coalition is really simple. Only one criteria: you sequester more carbon than you emit. If you achieve to do that, our doors are open to all the other countries on Earth who are able to sequester more carbon than they emit. But also, we are nature positive countries, because all of our countries have amazing biodiversity, and it's the combination of this carbon negative and nature positive that makes our country real solutions in the fight against climate change.
So, in a sense, what has happened to our world is that with the Industrial Revolution, growth in population, but also the kind of industrialization of the world, is that the nature has been gradually destroyed in many, many countries, particularly in the richer countries, and the emissions have gone up. So we're now out of balance with what the world was like before the Industrial Revolution, which was emissions up, but then emissions taken in, and there was some kind of balance in the world. We need to restore that balance, and I think that is what the Paris Agreement is all about. So, in a sense, what you're doing in your countries, your 4 countries, are kind of, in a sense, what other countries need to rediscover. And perhaps in the way you manage your country, you may have some of the clues on how these other countries who have lost so much biodiversity and ecosystems could restore their balance. So you are a library of not only practice, but also reality. Do you think that's correct, the way you manage your island?
I think the balance image that you talked about is really right, because it's impossible to preserve the carbon negative status only based on mitigation. We have to balance adaptation and mitigation, so we need to make sure that we preserve our carbon sinks. And this carbon sinks sequester the carbon from our country, but also from the other countries, from the developed countries. But to preserve them, it's a way of living. Our populations, they live hands in hands with nature, because 80% of Madagascar population lives in rural areas. So then it's obvious that they rely on nature for every need. There is a lack of industrialization, of course, but this way of living in harmony with nature is a key for us. And even if we develop ourselves, even if we industrialize our country, which is a priority of the president, we need to make sure that this economic development is aligned with the protection of our natural resources, and that this development has as a main pillar the sustainable management of these resources. So even, for instance, for the tourism, we want to make ecotourism. For the industrialization, it will be industrialization based around our natural resources, but in a sustainable way, instead of just exploiting. How can we exploit, create social and economic development, but make sure that the next generation will be able to use also the same resources?
Yeah. So to hand on a Madagascar to the next generation that is still healthy and functioning. Yeah, exactly.
It's the biggest challenge.
Yeah. How are you powering Madagascar these days? What kinds of energy systems do you have, and do you need more renewable energy?
So actually, we have a mix of hydro dams, of renewable, of solar panels, but also we use thermic energy, fossil fuels. But the goal and the vision of the president is to raise the part of the renewable energies. We have 2 huge hydro dam projects that are actually in the pipe and really close to beginning. We have also a big vision on solar panels because of the potential that we have. Madagascar is an island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. We have an amazing potential in terms of light, the daylight, and many also water reserves. We have a so big island that it's like a small continent. So it's not only one type of renewable energy that you're going to focus on. It's a balance depending on the potential of every region. In the north, we have a lot of wind. So why not put the north under wind power? In the south, it will be the solar. In the highlands, it will be the water, and in the western, so this is how we will make our energy mix.
I mean, one optimistic thing about this climate change story is it's certainly triggering and has triggered a lot of creativity among engineers and people in the digital space, and so there's a lot of creativity going on, and there are all kinds of new renewable energy systems being developed in different parts of the world. I'm thinking about there's now floating photovoltaics. In the UK, the wind turbines are now going very, very, very far out to sea, and they are not big metal things in the seabed, but they are tethered with cables, and you can deploy them very quickly with higher wind speeds. So all these opportunities are happening and could benefit Madagascar, but the question is finance, isn't it? And are you getting sufficient finance from the international community or bilateral finance from friendly nations? Do you know how much you need to be?
Yes.
Do you know what you need going forward? Yeah.
I will answer to your question in two parts. The first one is on the tech-based innovations. Like the floating solar panels, it's amongst the presidents of Madagascar vision to do that in a lake near the capital, near the airport, to optimize each square meters that you have. And for the financing, we talk every COP about the lack of financing. And for Madagascar, our numbers are really clear. From 2020 to 2030, to achieve our climate goals, we need $24 billion US dollars. If we keep the actual trend, this business as usual scenario, which means optimizing all the funds we have access to, we would reach at the maximum $7 billion. 7 out of 24. So not even 1/3 of what we need, we are expecting to get until 2030. So there is a big problem, and we make innovations in terms of technology. We also need to make innovation in terms of climate finance. And that is why Madagascar made so many efforts with the IMF, with the World Bank, with the GEF, to create new funding mechanisms, which will be our only way to bridge the gap of funding, how to involve private sector, how to make blended finance. If we have 1 billion potential, how can we transform this 1 billion into 5 billion? And we are really proud of all the efforts we have been doing already since COP28 in Dubai in terms of climate finance with these partners.
Okay, so you are obviously worried about climate change, but you are also courageous as a country. You're fighting your cause to be a fully sustainable society, not just now, but well into the future. And you need that support, that bridge between what you're getting now and what you actually need to deliver. Yeah. What is your message at the moment when you are talking to other governments here at COP29? What do you want to see from COP29?
Like the UN Secretary General said, climate finance is not charity, it's investment. And when you talk about mitigation, we hope that at Baku we can find an agreement to move on mitigation. How can all the countries raise their ambitions to make sure that we can keep the path to 1.5? But actually, with the actual trend, if we go business as usual, we should forget about the 1.5. It's impossible to reach. So everyone needs to make more efforts, and that's also the pledge from the G0, is that we will make everything, all our best, to keep that carbon negative country status. But we call also on other countries to make more efforts to reduce their emissions. So it's been many sessions and COPs that for the mitigation, for instance, we didn't find any agreement, any outcomes out of the COP. And there is a rule 16 that says that if we don't find an agreement, we'll talk about it to the next COP. This year, it's impossible that we do again this rule 16 saying that we are going to talk about it in Brazil, because every year that we are committed to inaction, it costs billions of dollars of disasters. We need to understand that this money, we are going to pay it anyway. But the latest we pay it, the more expensive it will be.
Yeah.
$1 that you invest today in mitigation and adaptation is billions of disasters that you save for tomorrow.
Yeah, good point. Well, Minister, it's been a great pleasure to talk to you when we don't have time. I've been to many countries in the world. I've never been to Madagascar. I must make that a priority, although I don't know how to get there in a purely environmentally friendly way, but I could try. But thank you much for your work, and really wish you great success. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation, and please be our guest to Madagascar. Preserving Madagascar's biodiversity is preserving the world's heritage, so you're all welcome to come visit our amazing biodiversity.
Okay.